They gave people masks that they knew that didn't work. They forced experimental medications on people against the Nuremberg Code, coming out of Nazi doctor atrocities. They did everything wrong. And what is it that the World Health Organization has tried to do right now? To make all of that the law. That is what this is really about. It is putting in place an institutional agenda to have pandemics and other emergency lockdowns worldwide on a regular basis, making lots of money for the people behind this, and frankly, injuring and killing millions in the process, as we've already had happen. So do we want another COVID? Hell no.
The Constitution, like I said a couple years ago, is under attack, as you can see. It's a complete blatant disregard for it. And while we can focus on the international bodies, it's our government that is charged with protecting us here. The international bodies cannot touch us if our government does what they're supposed to do. They are derelict in their duty. They are derelict in their duty. They have become tyrannical and they've forgotten who they answer to. And so we have to use our rights that have been given. The Constitution speaks for the people. Let me tell you, the Constitution speaks for us. That is why they're trying to get rid of it. It doesn't give us our rights, it protects our rights. Because there's certain rights that are given to us just by virtue of being human, just by virtue of being here. They're human rights. They're given to us by God. The Constitution is in place to protect that, and it speaks for us. It gives us a voice. If they are successful in eradicating that, we are in trouble. And it is not a joke. It is not a joke. We have to take it so serious because that is what's happening. And they are trying to distract us. Be careful of distractions. There's so much going on from every area, right? You have the international body, you have the federal government there, you have the state, you have the schools, you have the, I mean, it's just everywhere. It's meant to distract us. It's meant to wear us down. It's meant to tire us out so that we don't have time to think. We don't have time to strategize. We don't have time to regroup. And we don't have time to sit before our God to get the instructions that he's trying to give us.
We got the pandemic treaty, we got the international health regulations. Between the two of these, if they were passed, they would establish a biotech surveillance, fascistic, globalist police state. Now you should know that they have been negotiating these agreements for 2 years, and their negotiations fell apart on Friday. So that is a huge victory because they were trying to ram them through on Friday. I have no doubt the reason they were trying to do that was because they wanted to do it under the Biden administration, and the Biden administration is completely in agreement with these. They didn't want to risk a Trump administration, and so they're trying to ram them through. And so we at the Sovereignty Coalition and people here all over the world have been rising up to say no to the WHO. And our voices have been heard and the negotiations fell apart. But we cannot relax, okay? We cannot just say, okay, it's over, we've won.
This is huge. The two negotiating committees for the pandemic treaty and for the international health regulations, as they were to be amended, have both failed. They have not been able to come up with a final document. In either case, the WHO members will really not be voting to take away all our freedoms this week. They don't have a basis to do that. The documents don't exist. No doubt the bureaucracy of the WHO, the Bill Gates and the other billionaire funders are trying to find some way through so that they can claim a victory. But essentially, we have won the first battle. So yes.
The 1947 Charter of the United Nations assigned to itself immunity from all legal liability. Every one of the United Nations agencies also has total and complete immunity from liability no matter what the crime And no matter what the country, no jurisdiction can go after them. That's pretty nifty. And on top of it, they don't pay taxes anywhere. Now, I think a lot of people would think, gee, that's a pretty good deal, right? That's what's running the show. They made sure before they did anything to get immunity for themselves.
So one of the things that's happening in New York right now is that the two parties, which basically are one, are making sure that there's no primary. So in case you guys haven't noticed, there was supposed to be a primary in June so that we the people could decide who our candidate would be from both parties, but there's basically no primaries at all down the line. One of the things that's going on here in New York right now is when you petition, a lot of you guys, have anyone here signed petitions for candidates before? Yes. Right, so if it's not the candidate for one of the main parties, the two parties will sue all of the people who are primarying, and a lot of people will never hear their names. There's hundreds of candidates that wanted to run this year represent you guys, medical freedom candidates, candidates that are more populist, that want to represent the people and have no allegiance to the party, and like me, got sued by the Republican Party, literally my own party I'm in court with right now. I have a case in Albany on Wednesday. I'm being sued by the opponent, who's a loser, a complete and utter loser. This is now, just so you guys understand, a Senate race. So there's 100 senators in the country. It's such an important job, and it comes into play with this because this is a treaty, this World Health Organization thing, that should be voted in by 2/3 majority of the Senate. Basic uniparty clowns and pretty much puppets like this guy who's running. I'll tell you his name. It's Mike Sapercorn. He's a loser, okay, beyond imagination, because he sued me in court to have me thrown off the ballot. I collected 16,000 petition signatures, 16,000 around New York State in 1 month's time. He did not have to collect a single signature. As the party representative, he had to collect 0. Then he sued me in court with the backing of the party to get me thrown off the ballot because they don't want somebody like me that they can't control in office in the Senate, who would obviously vote against, just like Ron Johnson, who's a great senator, and he got all the Republicans on board to say that the Biden regime should not vote for this ridiculous WHO treaty, which is basically the New World Order being ushered in, and we all know it. But guess what? The Democrats, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm representing the Republican Party. I'm an independent that leans Republican in their belief system, not in the horrible megalomaniacs, wannabe. I call them wannabe megalomaniacs because in the New York State party, they'll fight to the death to be in second place to the real megalomaniacs, which is the Democrats, but the Republicans get a small piece of the pie, and they'll fight to the death to keep that piece of the pie and keep candidates like me out.
I believe the biggest fraud perpetrated on we the people and people all over the world in the last maybe 100 years is the United Nations. It is a massive long-term money laundering operation, in my estimation, that has promised us things like ending war, ending poverty, ending division, and instead everything that's happened since the United Nations came about has been the exact opposite. We've had endless war, we've had endless corruption, we've had money in the billions and billions of dollars disappear in the guise of helping developing nations that never develop. And we continue down that road. I call what has happened to this country, but most countries, that we've been captured by the octopus of global control. And basically one of the tentacles of that is the World Health Organization. They are all related. They are all, they come under a auspice of also being connected to a international banking cartel, I call them. That would be, the top would be the Bank of International Settlements, the IMF, and the World Bank. Our partners basically with the World Economic Forum, the UN, the World Health Organization, the IPCC, a lot of globalist NGOs, and our multinational corporations. And at this point, it appears that they have captured the United States of America. We have a globalist billionaire oligarchy that is running the country above our government. We also had the very unconstitutional Patriot Act that was passed that basically has been turned on we the people of the United States. We have a surveillance state at this point, and the people of the United States should be very aware that our privacy, our liberty, and our freedom has been usurped under the guise of needing full track and trace surveillance control.